So broadcast scene. Yeah, good to go.
Thank you. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Housing Strategic Planning Regulatory Services Cabinet member meeting. That's a mouthful, isn't it, right? Moving on to the agenda. Apologies, do we have any? No. Okay, late items, I have none. Declarations of interest, no. Minutes of the meeting held on the 9th of October. Anybody got anything to add to that? So I think I was the only one here, and Craig today he's not here. So as far as I'm concerned, the minutes are accurate.
Yep.
Item number 5, update of the Derbyshire and Derby Minerals and Waste Development Scheme. To tell us about that is Paul Clark.
Thank you, Chair. There are two items here. One's the minerals plan, and it's updating the timescales for the minerals plan. We're working with the county to produce a minerals and waste plans, but the minerals plan, we are currently in the examination hearings, and we expect the post-hearing additional work required by the inspectors to continue till March. So that's one deadline. We hope to publication of main modifications to the plan in March next year. So that's the second deadline. The inspectors report in that plan, we hope to receive that in May next year, followed by, fingers crossed, adoption of the plan in July 26. So those are the key milestones that we have to set out for government on progress of the minerals plan. I'll pause there and assume any questions.
No, I don't have any, and seeing as there's nobody here from the opposition, I guess they don't have any.
So the second part of this report, Chair, is the waste local plan that we have to do. Again, we're working with the county to draw up a waste local plan. The indicative milestones at this stage, because we've all been focusing on the minerals plan, the indicative milestones are as follows. The background papers and evidence assembly, we were getting that together through November 24 through to September 25. The scoping, plan, visioning and strategy development ongoing, we're doing now through June through to December 25. Then the first consultation, that's the public consultation, the Reg 18 of the draft plan we expect to be doing in March to April 26, followed by a second public consultation, that's the Regulation 19 pre-submission plan, that's September to October 26, with the submission to the Planning Inspectorate January to February 27. During that, at the end of the first public consultation and the start of the second, so that's between end of April 26 and September 26, there's an awful lot of work to do to assess any responses that come in. But those, again, those bullet points in the report are the key milestones which we need to adopt. The county have already adopted these. We need to adopt them so we can send them jointly off to government. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, I don't have anything to add to it, but I welcome the report and thank you very much. Moving on to item 6, which is the refresh of the council's succession policy. And to tell us about that is Stuart.
Yep, Stuart Smith. Thank you very much, Councillor. Yeah, as you may be aware, tenant of the council. If a tenant dies in a council property, then if it's a joint tenancy, then the joint tenant will succeed to that tenancy. So that tenant will continue with the name of that surviving joint tenant. If there's no joint tenant, but there's other relatives at the property, whether it's a husband, wife, civil partner, or certain specified members of the family, then they may also have a right to succeed. And the policy kind of lays out what succession is and when it can occur. The last time Well, the current policy is running since 2015, so it was felt that a refresh of that policy is timely, and also to ensure that the refresh policy, is legally correct. It's a statutory succession, so it's governed by legislation. So just making sure that it meets all the necessary requirements of law. So the main changes is that the current policy refers to secure tenancies and to introductory tenancies and how people can succeed to those. There may also be a demoted tenancy, which is a secure tenancy, which is being demoted to a less secure one through court order, usually due to antisocial behaviour or some other breach of the tenancy agreement. And for specified properties, the Council of Derby Homes may grant what's known as a flexible tenancy or a fixed term tenancy. It's a fixed term of 5 years. So if the tenant of such a tenancy dies, then they would succeed to either the remaining period of that demoted tenancy or the introductory period for that matter, which is normally 12 months, and the remaining period of any fixed term tenancy. And that's not currently in the 2015 policy. So I think it's important that we insert that into a refreshed one. The other main changes is that it makes clear the circumstances where there is no statutory right to succession. The council does have discretion to grant a new tenancy under, again, specific circumstances determined by the council, and it makes clear the kind of circumstances where that is likely to be agreed or not, and also makes clear that you may be granted a new tenancy for the property you're currently living in now, where the deceased tenant was living. But if they're not eligible for that type of property, or the household is too large or too small, then that offer of a new tenancy could be for some alternative suitable property. And the new policy will make it clear that when that happens, when there's that discretionary award of a new tenancy, that will be an introductory tenancy. So it won't relate to the previous tenancy, which will have ended. It'll be a new tenancy starting from fresh whenever that is granted. And what we've tried to do in terms of laying out the new policy is to do it in an ordered way, which hopefully makes quite clear and transparent the kind of checks that the council will be carrying out to ensure somebody either succeeds or not, or is eligible for a discretionary award of a tenancy or not. And in respect to the discretionary element, obviously we've got council housing. It's limited stock, certainly limited stock that comes available each year. So it's effectively a scarce resource. So the council has to make that balance really between, is it right to grant a new tenancy in these circumstances, or should we have more regard to the use of accommodation? So there may be occasions when that could be refused, or as I say, to make best use of property, the tenancy offered being elsewhere. And hopefully as well that will help staff go through the process and ensure everything is done correctly and the right decision is reached at the end of the day. So ultimately, the intention is that the refreshed policy will ensure that claims to succeed will be dealt with appropriately and be compliant with current legislation. There's no public consultation that's required because it's just a simple refresh of an existing policy. But Derby Homes will inform tenants of any update through their newsletter. It's a refresh of policy, so there's no spending or value for money issues involved. Legal have commented on the draft, so it meets to ensure it meets legal expectations, and again, no impact on the climate as such, because it's just a refresh policy. And that's a summary.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul. Sorry, Stuart, obviously there's no questions because nobody's here to question, but just to add a few points. I mean, you and I have discussed this sort of thoroughly. It is a refresh, and the sort of is there to make sure that up until the reorganisation of local government, that those people who are entitled to succeed, can do so. And also, you mentioned sort of large and small households. Hopefully, when the time comes, and I hope it's not needed because we don't want to see anybody pass away, but that there will be hopefully somewhere that we can perhaps move them to smaller, larger properties or exchange properties within Derby Homes or other social providers, right? So this is necessary until the government reorganisation, and then obviously we'll, depending on which way that goes, we'll have a look at who we merging with and sort of take extracts from each other's policies and come up with something better. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Chair, sorry to interrupt. Just looking at the report, Manager Craig just said if we could just get clarification on 2.3, recommendation is, sorry Chair, but it's to authorise implementation of the refresh session policy with effect from is
in terms of the
date.
I didn't want to make any presumption, but and I'll discuss it with Derby Homes, but we're looking at kind of first week in January would seem to be inappropriate.
So if I just make a note, that's acceptable.
Yeah,
Looking at the
I
first
think
week in
Monday
January.
the 5th of January is what we'll be looking at.
Thank
That's
you.
all.
What else was it?
No, that was it. That was it. Just get clarification.
Okay.
on that.
Thank you very much then. And that concludes the meeting, I think.
Thank you.